If you love shocking tales that will blow your mind, then you must watch this to the very end, because the last part of this story will leave you speechless. But first, you have to subscribe to this channel to see more shocking stories that will keep you at the edge of your seat. The sun dipped low over Otuocha village, painting the sky in streaks of crimson and gold. Children chased each other through the dusty paths, their laughter ringing like flutes, while women returned from the stream balancing calabashes of water on their heads. Amid this ordinary rhythm of life stood Amaka, a maiden so radiant that even the elders often whispered the gods must have sculptured her with their own hands. Her eyes sparkled like the surface of the Anambra River at dawn, and her laughter carried a sweetness that could soften even the hardest of hearts. Yet Amaka's beauty was not her only gift. She carried herself with a quiet strength, graceful yet determined, a spirit unbroken despite the shadows that lingered in her family's past. Her mother, Nenna, often reminded her that life was not always kind, and that beauty, though admired, could also be a burden. But Amaka, young and free-spirited, paid little heed to such warnings. She dreamt of a love that would sweep her from the ordinary into the extraordinary. It was on one such evening that fate began to stir. As Amaka walked toward the edge of the forest to gather firewood, she heard the crackle of leaves and the low growl of a wounded animal. Her heart quickened. Then, from the shadows, emerged a tall hunter, bow in hand, dragging a freshly killed antelope across the path. His name was Ekene, though she did not yet know it. His eyes, sharp and piercing, locked with hers for a moment that felt like eternity. Amaka's chest tightened. She had seen hunters before, but none like him. His presence felt both familiar and strange, like a melody half remembered from a dream. She did not know it then, but this meeting would unravel everything she thought she knew about love, family, and fate. The hunter introduced himself as Ekene, a wanderer who had traveled from distant villages in search of game and trade. His voice carried a calm strength, but his eyes told stories of hardship and solitude.
Amaka felt her cheeks flush as she greeted him politely, yet her curiosity burned hotter than the setting sun. As they walked together toward the village, Amaka noticed the way he moved, silent, cautious, yet purposeful, as though the forest itself had taught him his secrets. Ekene spoke little, but when he did, his words felt weighted with meaning. He told her of nights under the stars, of chasing antelope across rivers, of storms that forced him to seek shelter in caves. To Amaka, his life sounded dangerous, yet exciting. She found herself captivated by this man who lived outside the safety of the village walls. Little did she know, fate had bound them long before this chance encounter. Over the following days, Amaka found reasons to linger by the forest path. Whether fetching water or gathering firewood, her steps seemed drawn by some invisible thread to the place where she had first seen Ekene. And often, as though summoned by her silent wish, he appeared, carrying his bow and a bundle of meat or pelts. Their conversations grew longer, their laughter more frequent. Ekene spoke of the loneliness of wandering, and Amaka confessed her dreams of finding a love that was strong and true. The bond between them deepened quickly, too quickly for her mother's comfort. Nenna, watching from afar, grew uneasy. She noticed how Amaka's eyes sparkled differently when Ekene's name was spoken, how her hands trembled slightly when she mentioned him. And deep within her heart, an old fear stirred, a fear she had buried since the day Amaka was born. One evening, the village priest, Ezeudo, appeared at Nenna's doorstep. His face was solemn, his staff rattling with cowries as he entered. "The spirits are restless. A union is forming that should never be. If it is not stopped, Otuocha will bleed." Nenna's heart skipped. Though the priest did not mention names, she knew. She had seen Ekene's face, his sharp jawline, the dimple that appeared when he smiled, features she had once seen before, features she had prayed never to see again. Amaka, unaware of her mother's dread, met Ekene by the river that night. Fireflies danced around them as they shared stories, and for the first time, Ekene brushed his hand against hers. A spark leapt between them, undeniable and dangerous. The gods themselves seemed to hold their breath.
Unable to bear the weight of silence, Nena wept alone in her hut. Memories flooded her, of childbirth long ago, of twins born under a stormy sky. The elders had warned her, one twin must not live, or tragedy will follow. In her weakness and fear, she had given up the boy, told the village he had died. But now, staring into Ekene's familiar eyes, she knew the truth she had buried was clawing its way back. Her son had survived. That night, as Amaka slipped quietly into bed, her mother touched her hair and whispered a prayer. "O gods, forgive me. What sin have I brought upon my children?" In her heart, she knew the truth could not stay hidden forever, and when it surfaced, it would tear apart the fragile world her daughter believed in. Days turned into weeks, and Amaka and Ekene's bond grew stronger. Villagers whispered when they saw them walking together by the river, or laughing beneath the udala tree. Some admired the hunter's strength and bravery, while others muttered about how quickly Amaka had given her heart to a stranger. But Amaka did not care. When she was with Ekene, the world felt lighter, brighter. He taught her how to string a bow, how to listen for the rustle of hidden animals in the forest. In return, she told him stories of her childhood, her dreams of marriage and children. Ekene listened with an intensity that made her heart flutter. At night, she dreamed of him, dreams so vivid she woke with her cheeks warm. She felt as though she had found her destiny. Little did she know, her destiny was already entangled with his in ways more terrible than she could imagine. One morning, Ezeodo, the village priest, summoned Amaka to the shrine. Smoke from burning herbs curled around the carved stones as he fixed his ancient eyes on her. "My child, you walk a dangerous path. Love is sweet, but not all love is blessed. The spirits show me two rivers flowing from the same source. If they join, the waters will turn to blood." Amaka frowned, her heart pounding. "What do you mean, father?" she asked. The priest shook his head. "Turn away before it is too late." She left the shrine unsettled, her mind torn between the thrill of her love and the dread of his words. Yet when she saw Ekene waiting for her by the forest path, smiling as though she was the only person in the world, all warnings melted away. Meanwhile, Nena's health began to wane. Sleepless nights and heavy guilt gnawed at her bones. She often found herself staring at Ekene when he visited, her heart twisting with recognition. His walk, his laughter, even the scar on his arm, it was like looking at the ghost of the child she once lost. One evening, she called him aside. "Hunter," she said, her voice trembling, "tell me, who raised you? Where do you come from?"
Ekene looked away, his face shadowed with memory. "I was told my mother died giving birth. I was raised by a wandering hermit who found me by the river. I never knew my true family." The words cut through Nene like a blade. Her knees buckled and she clutched the door frame for strength. She wanted to scream the truth, but fear sealed her lips. To speak now would shatter Amaka's heart and perhaps her own soul. The bond between Amaka and Ekene could no longer be hidden. One night, as the moon bathed the forest in silver light, they sat together by the river, speaking softly about their dreams. "I will build you a hut," Ekene promised, brushing his thumb against her hand, "a home where laughter never ends." Her heart swelled, tears filling her eyes. "And I will bear your children," she whispered. In that moment, they kissed, a kiss so deep, so desperate, that the trees themselves seemed to groan in warning. The river rippled as though disturbed by unseen hands, and a cold wind swept through the clearing. Neither of them noticed. They were lost in each other, even as the gods turned their faces away in sorrow. Amaka returned home that night glowing with joy. But Nene saw it instantly. The flushed cheeks, the trembling lips, the dreamy eyes. She knew what had happened, and it terrified her. Alone in her heart, Nene wailed into her hands. "Oh, ancestors, why did you let this happen? Why bring him back only to curse us?" Her cries echoed through the night, muffled so her daughter would not hear. She remembered the day she had given her son away, how the Hamat had promised to care for him. She had thought she was saving her family, obeying the elders' warning that twins carried misfortune. But now that choice had circled back with a vengeance. Outside, the wind rattled the thatched roof. Nene knew she could not stay silent much longer. The truth would come out, whether she spoke it or not. And when it did, it would destroy more than her daughter's love. It could destroy the entire village. The village began to notice the closeness between Amaka and the stranger. Old women whispered at the market, children teased, and even the elders exchanged knowing glances. "Have you seen how she follows him like a shadow?" one woman muttered. "A maiden in love," another replied, shaking her head. "But sometimes love brings ruin." Amaka ignored their gossip, but Nene heard every word. The whispers sliced her like sharp blades. She tried to warn her daughter, urging her to keep her distance, but Amaka only laughed. "Mother, you do not understand. This is not ordinary love. My heart beats only for him. I will not let anyone come between us." Nene's lips trembled, but she could not reveal the truth yet. Fear of shattering her daughter's happiness kept her tongue bound. Yet deep in her soul, she knew the storm was coming and it would not spare anyone.
Chief Ume, one of the oldest men in Otuocha, had lived long enough to know when the spirits stirred uneasily. He often watched Ekene from afar, noting his resemblance to Amaka's late grandfather. One evening, he stopped Ekene on the path. "Young hunter," he said, leaning heavily on his staff, "you walk these lands with ease. Tell me, where is your father's heart? Which family do you belong to?" Ekene hesitated. "I have no father, no family," he replied. "The forest raised me." Chief Ume narrowed his eyes. "The forest does not shape a man's face to match our bloodlines. Be careful, boy. Some roots run deeper than the soil admits." His words gnawed at Ekene. For the first time, he wondered if his past carried secrets he had been too afraid to chase. That night, Amaka dreamed. In her vision, two infants lay side by side, their cries mingling. One was taken by a shadowed figure and carried into the forest, while the other remained wrapped in her mother's arms. She awoke trembling, her heart racing. When she told Nena the dream, her mother turned pale, clutching her wrapper tightly. "Forget such dreams," Nena whispered, but her eyes betrayed her fear. Amaka could not forget. The dream felt like a message from the ancestors themselves, and when she looked at Ekene later that day, something inside her stirred, a strange familiarity she could not explain. It frightened her, yet her love for him burned brighter still. The annual Yam Festival arrived, filling Otuocha with music, laughter, and celebration. Drums thundered, maidens danced in colorful wrappers, and men displayed their harvest with pride. Amaka and Ekene attended together, hand in hand. For the first time, they felt no shame in their closeness. Villagers stared, but neither cared. Under the flickering light of the bonfires, they danced, their joy shining like fireflies in the night. But not everyone celebrated their love. Chief Ume watched grimly, shaking his head. Beside him, Ezeudo the priest muttered to himself, "The rivers are merging. Soon the flood will come." When Ekene lifted Amaka in the dance and the crowd cheered, Nena covered her face with trembling hands. She knew the truth could no longer be buried beneath the drums. The festival ended in joy, but Nena's heart could no longer bear the weight of silence. That night, she called Amaka to her heart. "My daughter," she began, tears streaming down her face, "I have sinned against you." Amaka frowned, confused. "Mother, what do you mean?" Nena fell to her knees. "The hunter you love, he is no stranger. He is your blood, your twin brother. When you were born, you came with another, Ekene.
But the elders feared the wrath of the gods upon twins. So I gave him away. I thought he was lost forever, but he has returned. The man you love is your own brother." Amaka's world shattered. Her chest heaved and the walls of the hut seemed to close in on her. "No, no, it cannot be," she cried. But deep inside, the dream of the twins flashed back, and she knew her mother spoke the truth. Her love had just turned into a forbidden curse.
Amaka staggered from the hut into the night, gasping for breath. Her mother's words echoed in her ears. "He is your twin." The stars above blurred as tears filled her eyes. Ekene, waiting outside, rushed to her. "Amaka, what is wrong? Tell me." She looked at him, trembling. Her lips parted, but no words came. Instead, she ran, her feet pounding against the earth until she reached the stream. There she collapsed, sobbing. Ekene followed, pulling her into his arms, but she pushed him away. "Do not touch me," she cried. "The gods mock us. You are not who I thought you were. You are my brother." His fist twisted in confusion, then horror. "What? That cannot be true." It cannot. But when he looked into her eyes, he saw the certainty of her pain. The love that once lifted their souls now crushed them both like a falling sky. The next morning, Ekene stormed into Nena's hut. "Tell me it is a lie," he demanded, his voice shaking with fury and desperation. Nena wept openly. "It is no lie. You were born beside Amaka. You were my son, but I was forced to give you away, for the elder said twins would bring ruin upon the village." "No," Ekene shouted, clutching his head. "I am not bound by their superstitions. I am not her brother. I am her love." Nene fell into her knees. "The blood in your veins is the same as hers. You cannot fight the truth. If you defy it, the gods themselves will strike you down." Ekene stormed out, his chest heaving, his world spinning. How could fate be so cruel, to give him the only love he had ever known, then snatch it away with the chains of taboo? Rumors spread quickly. Some claimed that Amaka had fallen in love with her twin. Others denied it, saying the story was invented by jealous tongues. At the market, women argued. "It is abomination," one spat. "But how could she have known?" another asked. "If the elders buried the truth, can the children be blamed?" The village was split in two, those who demanded the lovers be separated forever, and those who pitied them as victims of a cruel fate. Chief Ume called for a council. "This is no matter of gossip. If the twins continue in love, the wrath of Allah, the earth goddess, may fall on us all. The land itself may reject us." Whispers of curses, famine, and death filled the air. Amaka and Ekene became outcasts overnight, shunned by those who once envied their bond. Amaka locked herself away, refusing food, her body wasting under grief. She could not erase Ekene from her heart, yet the thought of loving him now filled her with terror. Ekene visited her secretly one night, his eyes hollow. "Amaka," he whispered through the window, "we can leave, we can run far away, where no one knows us. The forest will hide us."
Amaka's heart ached, but she shook her head. "We cannot run from the blood in our veins. Even if we flee, the truth will follow us. The gods see all." "But I cannot let you go," Ekene said, his voice breaking. "I would rather die than live without you." She pressed her palm to his cheek, tears flowing. "And I would rather live in pain than bring a curse upon the land." Their love had become a wound that could neither heal nor be cut away. As Ezeudo, the chief priest, summoned them both to the shrine. The air was thick with incense, and the carved masks on the walls seemed to glare down in judgment. "You have seen what happens when truth is buried," Ezeudo said gravely. "The gods do not forgive such abominations. If you choose to remain together as lovers, famine will fall, children will die, and Otuocha will be wiped from the earth." Amaka bowed her head, tears falling freely. Ekene clenched his fists, defiance burning in his eyes. "There must be another way," he cried. "Why should we suffer for the sins of others, for the fear of the elders who cast me away?" The priest's gaze was like stone. "There is no other way. Blood is blood. Love must bow to the truth, or destruction will bow to none of us."
The silence that followed was heavier than thunder. One moonlit night, when the village slept, Ekene found Amaka by the river. She stood barefoot in the sand, her wrapper flowing like a whisper in the breeze. "Why do you torment yourself?" he asked, stepping close. "Because my heart is not mine," she replied softly. "It belongs to you, yet the gods forbid me from holding what is mine." For a moment, silence wrapped them both. Then, without words, they embraced. Broken souls clinging to each other against the judgment of heaven. Their lips met, and though the night was filled with the song of crickets, the world felt deathly silent. It was their last dance with love, stolen in defiance, yet drenched in sorrow. They knew dawn would not be merciful. The next morning, Otuocha awoke to calamity. The sky darkened unnaturally, and the river receded from its banks, leaving fish gasping on the sand. Goats bleated wildly, and women screamed as their clay pots shattered without reason.
Chief Ume raised his staff. You were warned, yet you chose your love above the law of the land. Now Otuocha bleeds because of you. Tell us, will you repent, or must your blood seal the earth's wounds? Amaka lifted her head, her voice trembling but steady. Blame me alone. I did not know the truth, but I should have walked away when I learnt. Spare him. Ekene shouted, No, she is innocent. If one must die, let it be me. Their pleas fell on deaf ears. The council whispered, and the priest delivered judgment. The gods demand sacrifice, but if love is true, let them decide who will die. The village gasped. That night, the twins were bound inside the shrine. The priest left them with a single knife, its blade glinting in the firelight. One must die before dawn, his voice echoed. Only then will the gods relent. Amaka turned to Ekene, tears burning her cheeks. I cannot live in a world where your death is on my hands. Let it be me. No, Ekene shouted, straining against the ropes. You are the light of my life. If one must fall, it will be me. My love, my sister, forgive me. They wept, clinging to one another as the night dragged on. At last, Ekene pressed his forehead to hers and whispered, Better my blood than your tears. When dawn broke, the villagers entered the shrine, and only Amaka remained, cradling Ekene's lifeless body. The earth trembled as Ekene's blood seeped into the ground. Then, suddenly, the skies cleared. The river returned to its course, and the animals calmed. The curse was broken, but at a terrible price. Amaka wailed over her brother-lover's body until her voice cracked. The villagers watched in silence, shame written across their faces. The chief priest raised his staff, and let this be remembered. When truth is buried, love becomes poison, and when pride governs choices, blood must pay the price. Amaka never remarried. She lived quietly by the river, her hair turning gray long before its time. Children whispered her story in hushed voices, and elders told it as a warning. And so, the tale of Otuocha became a scar upon the village's memory, a love both pure and forbidden, a bond that defied gods and men, and a sacrifice that taught generations never to forget the weight of secrets.